Hello. Can everyone hear me?
Hello, good afternoon. I can hear you from here.
Yeah, hello, good afternoon.
I can see Dr. Yusuf inside the car. You are doing great.
Welcome to today's session. I'm glad to I'm going to try as much as possible. I want today's session to be as fast as we can because we have mentors completing.
Your voice is kind of low, like very far from.
Sorry.
Yeah. Better now. Sorry, still low.
Okay, I'm coming. Okay,
Okay. Can you hear me now?
Yes,
Yeah.
I can hear you.
Okay.
Much better.
Okay, so I was saying that sorry, 1 minute.
Okay. I was saying that some mentors have been complaining about the fact that we spend the time we spend on each session is very long. So we're trying as much as possible to manage time and make things as fast as we can. So I'm going to get into it straight up. We have three speakers today. First, we have the guest speaker, which is Mr. Awosanya. Then we have two other mentors, Subomi David, and then we have Giwa Ridwan, also being speaking to us today. And as we know, we're talking about interviews. What do we miss interviews? What are interviewers expecting from us? What are they looking out for? So our mentors will be talking about this today. Mr. Awosanya will be giving us an insight into his career life, how he made it so far to have presently he owns two companies in Nigeria, and how has that journey been? What are the steps he has taken? What has he done? And also, he has also chaired several interview committees and also still chairing several interview panels. So it will also be giving us an insight into what interviewers are looking out for. Where is on this time? What is he looking out for? We'll be talking to us about that. Shubi will be talking to us about what interviewers are looking out for in the UK here, as people, as if you're looking at traveling abroad, if you're looking at coming to the UK, or you are in the UK and are looking forward to getting a job, she will be shedding more light on that as well as AK too. So, and Mr. Awosanya will be talking about the Nigerian perspective. Giwa also will be talking about the Nigerian perspective, how to get jobs easily. What are the things you can what are the qualities that you can have that will make you as well as look at you and say this is the candidate you want. So I will we'll start by welcoming Mr. Awosanya. He's a guest mentor, and we are glad to have him here. I'll give him some minutes for him to introduce himself, and then we dive into the script. I would like to welcome everyone. I will not be mentioning names because I would like to make this session very fast. So everyone, you're welcome, you're welcome, you're welcome. Mr. Awosanya, you are welcome. Glad to have you here today, sir. Can you hear me, sir? While we're waiting for you to connect. Okay, your can you unmute? Yeah. Welcome, sir. We can hear you, sir. Okay, while we're waiting for him to are you we're waiting for you, sir.
You are waiting for me?
Waiting for you.
Are you hearing me very well now? Good afternoon. Can we start?
Yes, we can.
Okay. My name is Awosanya Abiodun. I'm happy to be part of the Daytopia mentoring program, which today is my first day of being with you guys. I quickly and briefly want to tell you that I'm an insurance person who has worked in the industry for about 8 years. I studied insurance, and at the same time, I'm still practicing insurance. I am part of two insurance brokerage firms, which is the GT Insurance Brokers and the SWAT Insurance Brokers. I've worked for quite some other companies like Phoenix Insurance of London. I work with the Oasis Insurance. I started my career with Yankari Insurance, which is now Fin Insurance. I've actually gone through most part of Nigeria, still based on insurance profession. The two insurance brokerage firms, the GT Insurance Company was first established as a full insurance broker, trying to help people in respect of placing their insurances and representing them when there's problem, especially when there's claim. The SWAT Insurance Broker is more of a special risk brokerage firm. It has to do with the oil and gas. It has to do with the aviation risk. Those are the class of insurances we call special risk. It also has to do with the consultancy. which is trying to place candidates with the various insurance companies. And it also has to do with trying to make sure we guide people, that is by training the staff that we get engaged for them, and train those ones that we are not directly the one that engage them, but are still working with the companies. But majorly, I do insurance. The area I want to concentrate on today is about how people, it does not mean young guys, everybody can still attend interviews, how we can attend interviews, how we'll be able to make sure that we satisfy ourselves about our performance at the interview. We conduct interviews for people, for insurance companies, for oil companies, and we quite notice that there are a lot of things that is expected from the interviewee and the interviewer. We have responsive issues. When you are attending an interview, the first thing that comes up at the interview thing is your body language. When you enter an interview room, your body language is the most important thing. It tells us, those people that are interviewing, the kind of person that is coming up. If you are the one that is like the shy one, we look at you, you see that this is a shy person. And it will guide us on how to really conduct the interview with you. If you are the one that you have your ego at the interview, that you feel at this interview there's nothing, I will just bamboozle them and walk away with the interview. To see you, then you know we have to divert your area of interview. If you are the one that is not composed, we'll look at you and your interview will be designed along that line. Most interviews are not a pre-arranged interview these days, not like the earlier interview panels. It is when you come in, there are some basic things that are normal. Maybe you want to know whether you know about what you want to come and do with the company. We want to know whether you are generally conversant with what happens around you. But the basic thing is, how would you be able to interact with those people you are coming to meet? Who are you? What kind of person are you? Are you coming in to come and disorganize the system you are meeting? Or are you the kind of person that will come in and make sure that things are proper, they'll have a good example in you? When you are paid to conduct an interview, we are always very careful to make sure that when we bring in, you are not going to be a bad example to the organization. So that's why the body language is the first thing that you have to notice. When you notice it, it will follow the kind of interview you are going to conduct for you. You have to be honest at the interview panel, because telling lies will always come, it will always come to play. When you tell us that this is you, and in the course of the interview, we found out that you are not that kind of person you have presented, it becomes a problem. So try as much as possible to be honest, present what you know, present what you have, and you can be looked at on that basis. At times, getting somebody engaged does not mean by your academic qualification, because we have seen quite a lot of people that are academically qualified, but they lack character. Still, you will not recommend it. You will tell them that you have a good score, but for this organization, this is what fits in for you. And it speaks quite a volume. Somebody comes in at an interview panel, sat down and crossed his leg. You know the kind of person he is. Then you should now be able to tell him, if you are not a manager in this company, what do you think will happen? If, peradventure, you are interviewed as an assistant manager, and we tell you that you are still going to work under a superintendent, how do you come out with that? Are you going to respond very well? Are you going to give your best to that person that is still your boss there as at that time? Because there's no company that will bring you in except when you are picked. Maybe there's a kind of interview that we call a selective interview, where you go and poach somebody that's already on the job and you needed that level of intellect. You can poach. But when it is not that, and it is based on the level of the normal and general interview process, you need to behave and follow some parameters. You have to introduce yourself. After having studied your body language, your introduction will tell you the kind of person, will tell us the kind of person you are. My name is Awosanya Abiodun. I attended so school. I was born in so. I'm from so. I'm from those. The interview have an eye contact with you. Psychologically, we will know whether you can express yourself very well. Because it matters. Where you cannot express yourself, how do you now communicate with others? Quite a lot of people these days, you will be embarrassed, you'll be amazed at the level of not being able to join words together. Some people don't even know when to put a pronoun. They don't know what is a pronoun. You don't know what to do. You don't know how to probably try to present yourself in a very simple and acceptable manner. You don't need to come on with big grammars, with all those things to show that you are this or you are no. A simple free flow of language. Just make sure you are flowing with the little one you are speaking. Go ahead. Nobody is asking you what is biology. Nobody is asking you what is insurance. But we ask you and we expect you to express and tell us what you know about that particular thing. In some instances, you might not even get what they're asking you. But the way you coined it, the way you present, the way you try to explain it to them will tell us that even when you don't know, and with that attitude of being ready to learn, we eventually get there. These are the basic things that really matter. You have to be very fast. You think very fast. Nobody sits down to wait for you to get your memory back. You see, no. What is your name? You told us you are Awosanya Abiodun. Which one is your first name? Awosanya is my first. No. Sefiu is my first. No. You should be able to tell us, a fast thinker. Sefiu is my middle name. Abiodun is my first name. Awosanya is my. While you are doing that, you have been able to remove. I think you have to remove that. But by expression, Awosanya is my surname.
Yes, sir. Can everyone hear me?
Yes, I can from here.
Okay, all right. So, sir, we lost you there, sir. Are you still there? Okay, while we are waiting for our guest speaker to connect back, I'm just going to quickly advise us with the things he has said. The first thing he said was body language. Okay, he's back.
I hope I'm back.
Yes, you're back. You're back, sir.
So these are the basic things. You need to dress properly. Your dressing code says a lot about you. You don't argue unnecessarily. If you get to an interview, they will tell you, no, I don't think that is it. You say, no, I think, no. Be calm. When you even know what you are saying is right. I think the last time I heard of this or I read about this, it was saying this. You are not trying to tell the interviewer that is wrong. And you want to accept that you are not wrong too. So you have to look for a level playing ground. If you make a conscious effort to tell the interviewer that is wrong, you have already failed the interview. When you argue too much, it shows another level of who you are. In some instances, consciously, they want to put you to test. They want to know, how do you look at this? The Minister of, for instance, the Minister of Transportation is Honorable Rotimi Amechi. And you said, Honorable Rotimi, they asked you, the Minister of Aviation or Transportation, you said it's Rotimi Amechi. No, are you sure? Yes, I'm very sure. I'm very sure. You don't need that. I think by my last information, Honorable Rotimi Amechi is still probably except maybe it's been changed or he has just been changed. Allow that thing to be that you never can even tell whether by the time you are attending the interview, there has been an announcement that the minister has been changed. If you now insist, no, I know it's Rotimi Amechi. By the time he tells you that it has just been announced now that he's been relieved of his ministerial appointment, what do you now say? So that's why you need to calm down, because the person that is asking you that question has a motive. So you have to be careful of that. You don't know his mind, whether he wanted to know whether you actually know the person or not. Even when the person says, no, he's not Rotimi Amechi, I say, well, by the last time I'm aware of, I think it's still, maybe, politics, anything can still happen. Push it to them. That is dialogue. You have moved from an interviewing panel to a dialogue panel. They will know that no matter who you meet, you should be able to flow with that person. When you put up your answers, make sure you have illustrating points. That's why I said when they say Minister of Aviation, of Transportation, it's an illustration. By the time I heard, politics in Nigeria, anything can still happen. Maybe the president has decided to change his cabinet as at the time before I came for this interview. This is the level I know of. You are cleared. So these are the basic things. Speak clearly and fluently. Let people hear. Stop rammering. It doesn't give us any clue about anything. You see, no, that's not allowed at an interview panel. You don't let people get confused with what you mean by what you are saying. Because if I didn't hear you well, maybe I will assume this is what you have said. Fine if it's right, but if it is wrong, you have to be punished for it. So when we do interviews, in those days, they lay emphasis on you performed very well at the interview. You scored 80 out of 100. But these days, what was your performance at the interview? It is a performance, not what did you score again. We have seen a lot of people that will have 2-1, 2-2, whatever, of a first class. Then they still find it hard to express themselves. You conduct interview for them, ask them to do an expression. Try to give me, just like a case study, what do you do in a situation where two vehicles collided, and the two of them, they are claiming they are right, that he hit me. This one says, the other one said he hit me. How do you treat it? You are not to tell me you have to measure. It is not your duty. Your expression is what I need. Start from, you need to invite the police. The fact you want to put together does not really matter to me, because I know you are not a professional insurer. How do you get yourself, how do you express yourself to show me that this is what happened, or probably this is that's going to happen next? It is very important. And our characters, most characters, you don't know. The interviewer will be looking at your eyeball. In psychology, it is very important. The police will look at you when you are giving your statement orally. They will be looking at your eyeball. And when you look at the percentage of what makes up the lie detecting machine, the eyeball contact is about 55%. Your eyeball contact will tell us, what is this man thinking? Is he lying? Because you don't have control over your body movement. It will come and it will express itself. So that's why we look at you, and you know quite a lot of people will dodge their face. When you are looking at it, you will turn its face. You will try to avoid you looking at it. Then you know this kind of this particular person. So it's as simple. You need to just prepare yourself for an interview. Know the basic things that goes around you. That's the civic whatever. Then you should be able to know the basic thing about what you learn in school. Then it will now come to what is it called? Who is the president of Gambia? Probably is the president of Nigeria. Who is this? Who is that? Just for us to know that you are conversant with what goes on around you. But majorly, your character takes a lot of percentage. There's no how we get your character. We are meeting you for the fourth day. And these are the features that can give us a bit of your character. And there's something you cannot control. It will expose you. No matter how hard you try to control it, it will just bring you out. That's the little I can just tell you on an interview. It goes on and on and on. But the most important thing, like I said, is your compulsion at the point of interview. There is a lot to say about life, your achievement, your success in life. Generally, you need to just look for knowledge. It is not enough for you to have PhD, to have MSc, to have all other things, but your ability not to accept failure. There will always be situations where things are not going the way you want it. Can you strive to make sure you get it to be your way? The example is this. When I studied insurance, I made up my mind that I'm not doing what every other person does. I went for a special risk. The normal insurance is fire, burglary, and all those stuff. But I felt like we do in Nigeria. When you see a barber, 1,001 people will join to be a barber because the man is making money. You will see a computer business center. In fact, they will fill up the whole area with business center because the man is making. They can see the man has bought another vehicle in the next 6 months. There is money in this thing. Let me join. How can you sustain yourself with what your heart desires? It's very important. Choose something for yourself that your mind agrees with. Pursue it. You will continue to, it is the number of times you are able to fall and stand up that calls you a man. It is not that you are in a particular company, they are paying you salary, they pay you allowances, they do this, you buy car. you will forget that one day that company will get you out of that place. What are you going to do with yourself? And your being successful is when you are able to manage your end time life. That is when, towards the time that they would have used you up at the company, at the various companies you are working for. Can you really stand on yourself? Those vehicles, those things you have bought, the money you kept in the bank, can you really maintain it at that age when those kind of free funds are not available again? It is important that you need to strive. Don't allow distractions to really get you out. You fight.
Okay.
Tell that there's nobody who succeed. Thank you very much. I hope I'm very brief with this little discussion.
Thank you very much, sir. We really appreciate the knowledge that you shared with us. And everyone here with this, I think my speaker is with we appreciate the knowledge that you have shared with us this afternoon. We are really grateful. We'd like to take some questions as we can quickly round up to the next speaker.
We'll be able.
Okay.
Hello.
Hello, sir. Can you hear me, sir?
Hello. Good afternoon.
Can you hear me, sir?
I can hear you now.
Yes. I would like to ask first, in this, there's been a recent shift in Nigeria where many of us are traveling out of the country to get education. And can you hear me?
I can't hear you.
Okay, can you hear me now?
I can hear you now.
There's been a recent shift in the country where many of us are moving out of the country to get further education.
Can you please type it and let me, sorry, can you type it and send it and let me respond? Because I think you are hearing me.
Yes, I can hear you. Yes.
Can you let me have your brief questions like a type text so that I can respond?
All right. Okay, sir. Thank you.
No, one type question. I mean, don't go down to that. So when you can type question. Your
Oh, can you hear me
Yes,
now, sir?
I can
Yes,
hear you
yes.
now.
Okay. I was asking that with the recent shift in Nigeria, where most of us are trying to shift abroad, to study abroad, and with the recent hike in education generally, where everybody is striving towards masters and PhD, as an interviewer, do you think that this might be an added advantage? Say, for instance, two candidates comes into the panel room and one studied outside of the country, has a PhD, and there's another one that studied in Nigeria, probably has a master's. Do you think those are one of the things you consider on your panel list?
They are. In fact, this question is very important because, number one, our educational system here in Nigeria has left us behind. You can be sure that anybody that reads abroad somehow to a very decent level will probably be exposed to majorly those things that has to do with that course of study. But for somebody that reads in Nigeria, it is either that that person has made his own personal sacrifice to get to know what he has known. So when you interview two people, one from Nigeria that has done his master's, we score them differently to be fair to them. We score them educationally differently to be fair to them. Because if you compare it, there's no how you can match the two together. But on this other aspect of the interview characteristics, they can be good because they are all human beings. We look at your composture, we look at your spoken English, we look at all those ones. We cannot score them differently on those grounds. We still score you separately on whether you school from abroad, but we score you the same on your character, on your composture, on your spoken English, and all those stuff. Now, we don't usually grade them with 10. In most cases, we don't score PhD. But for your MBA, where you have MBA, you are having 5. When you have two one, you have 2-2, you have first class.
I think we lost him there. When he gets back, we'll continue with the questions. But I would like us to move fast into the next speaker. I would like to invite Mr. Subomi to the platform to also give us his own 1 penny when it comes to interviews and how to ace an interview. Shubi, are you there?
Hello.
Yeah. I'm going to put up your slides now. Give me a minute.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah.
Hey, 25 minutes.
Hello, sir. Do you want to quickly continue the question?
Yes.
While I upload Shubi's.
Okay, what I was trying to say is that we normally categorize. When you have your first degree, it's being categorized. 5 will be the basic mark. Then whether you have 2-1, 2-2, or first class will depend on what you get over 5. Then on that still 5, we still take into consideration the university you have attended. We don't rank, we don't rank universities like the same. So you might end up having first degree, and you have the next person to you still have a first degree. On that 10, you have 8, the other person have 6, depending on whatever you came out with. The other one on the masters, it is differentiated because educationally, we want to believe that they are more exposed when you do your masters abroad than doing it in Nigeria. But if you have your first degree and your second degree abroad, we are going to give you on your first degree only 5. There is no additional. Whether you have 2-1, 2-2, or whatever, we are not going to do that because you don't have the basic knowledge of Nigeria with your first degree. So you are likely telling us of what happens abroad. For the masters, it is grouped. If you have your masters abroad, the first thing is you have your 5. If you have your masters in Nigeria, you have your 5. But being from abroad, we give you like 4. In Nigeria, we give you like 2.5. And it is always an added advantage because the first degree has become something that everybody has. So what are you coming to tell me? And why are you telling me to get you inside when the other ones is going to be outside? I have a master's. You don't have a master's. It's an advantage. It increases your score. And when you have your academic performance, which is about 25-30%, the other ones forms the remaining 70%. So you still need to consider that is of prime importance. But we do try to segregate.
Thank you very much, sir. We are very grateful. Thank you so much, sir. Okay, Shubi, are you ready?
Yeah.
All right.
There's an echo somewhere.
Yeah, the floor is yours.
Hi, everyone. And just here to provide my 2 cents on how to ace an interview. My name is Subomi, and I work as the technical support engineer for David's group here in the UK. Next slide, please. So I want to believe at this point, at this stage, you must have been successful with probably your job search or job application and getting invited for an interview. Most interviews, the interviewer would let you know what area or what area they're going to base it on. If there's going to be like an assessment, competency-based test and all. So what I'll be covering is why interviews are conducted. We'll have like a group chat just to share experiences together to see if anyone has their highs and their lows during interview sessions, and just provide them few tips that I believe might be useful. So why are interviews conducted? So interviews are generally the best way to have like an accurate and a thorough communication of ideas between you and the interviewer. And the interviewer wants to is carrying out this interview because they want to know what value you have to offer to the organization. They need to understand why you want this job, why you feel why you're the best person for the role, how your personality is probably going to fit into the organizational culture. And they want to also evaluate your skills and experience if they are aligned with the job role. What key important factor is what value you'll be bringing or adding to the organization. Because looking good, you can have a very lovely CV, and that might not be enough because you need to understand that it's not only about the content, what you put on your CV is how you can go there and smash the interview and let them know you're the best person for it. And one needs to understand that it's not about the content of your answer, it's how you answer them as well. And preparing properly is very advisable. Next slide. So I don't know if there's anyone here that must have had highs and lows, previous experiences during interviews. Is there anyone willing to share like their experience, how probably they smashed it, or probably not very, not as they wanted it to go? Don't know if anybody in the house is willing to share any experience.
All right, yeah, I am ready.
Yep, your floor is yours.
During my first time applying for Bank of America internship, I get the whole interview scheme wrong. And the kind of question they are asking are not too technical questions, and they give 3 minutes for you to respond to a question. For example, tell us about yourself. They give 3 minutes because the first stage is an on-demand video interview. So me barging into the interview without any prior experience, I used the whole 3 minutes. It was not even enough. Like I was just talking till the video cut me short. I moved to the next question, did the same thing until I read the last question. That was a year back, and honestly, when I get to find out about the tips to this, I was like, oh, so I didn't meet up with their expectation. And so that's just that on that part.
Yeah, I mean it's that's an interesting one because I'm sure that particular experience would have helped you in probably if you have another interview tomorrow now you want to and you've been asked something like that, something similar, you'd know how to go straight to the answer, answer it the way you'd want it to and it would be I mean, you would want to answer it. You would definitely answer it in a way much better than how you did it previously.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Other experience after that was great, and I aced it to the last stage, but that one is another different ball game. And okay, those ones are technical question, and I couldn't keep up with that, and I'm very sure the next one will be a very good one for me.
Yeah, I myself as well. I've also had an interview previously where I didn't really do well. Like, being asked a question that you don't really know much about, and I was just rumbling and rumbling. But that experience, has taught me to probably stay calm in situations like that, and ask questions around it and try and answer it in a way that it's quite difficult because you'll be tense at that moment, but the experience would probably push you to answer it in a much better.
I also had a similar experience. I actually went for an interview also, and they asked me a question which, to be honest, I didn't even know the answer to it. But instead of me just coming out straight and telling them I don't know the answer to it, I started beating around the bush and trying to use the back door to answer the question. And then the interviewer just told me, there's nothing wrong in you saying you don't know the answer. You can't know everything. Just say you don't know the answer. That's fine. Sometimes we just need to admit that we don't know it. We can't know everything, and I've learned from that experience also.
Yeah, that's very right. Is there any other person willing to share? Or we'll just move on to the tips.
Hi. Hello.
Hello.
My name is Mary. My experience was because I'm a health student, so I went for like an interview whereby the manager was asking me a question. I think the nerves, like I was so nervous, like I knew everything the lady was asking me, just I was so nervous, like, because some some managers or employers, they come like, they look so intimidating and you just like, you don't know what to do. Like, you don't know what to say when they're asking you the question. You know the question, but your nerves, like I was literally shaking because that day I didn't have enough sleep and I was trying to locate the company, and getting there, I was like 5 minutes late already, which I apologized, like, oh, I'm sorry, I came late and everything. But the way the lady was just like, she was just throwing the questions at me. She wasn't even giving me time to even think to answer her. So I was really, really nervous when I was doing that interview. But at the end of the day, I think I had to explain to her my everything. Like I'm nervous. She knew I was nervous and everything. So I explained to her everything. Like I didn't get enough sleep. This is what happened and everything. She was like, okay, that's fine. We're gonna give you another assessment to do. If you pass the assessment, then you will get the job. And I was like, okay. So that assessment actually made me got the job at the end of the day. So like, I want to ask the question, how do you deal with like situation like that when you're so nervous, you don't know what to do or what to say at that point of time? Do you just tell the employer, like, can I have like 2 or 3 minutes break to just like calm myself down, then
To
answer
be
your
honest,
question?
it's a very that's a very interesting question, because interview sessions are very tense moments. I mean, you go in for an interview, you're feeling very tensed. You don't know what's going to come, what they're going to ask you and all. But I think the number one advice is probably to try and stay calm as much as possible. It's easy to say, but staying calm, just trying to stay calm is very, very is advisable. Is what I would say you should try and do. And in events where an interviewer is not really giving you much time to express yourself, I mean, I don't know how it is back home in Nigeria, but I know down here you can probably I've had an interview where I was really tense, and I just asked the interviewer, like, can I
Although
have
this
a
happened
moment
here
to
in
be.
the UK, my interview was here in the UK. So I
Yeah.
actually met her. She was just too, I don't know, she was expecting, like, our expectation about for me was just really high. She was just asking me the question, like, I need to know it. Like, that's why you apply for this job. You need to know the answers. So she was not even giving me enough time to like think and digest the question properly for me to give her the right answer. I was this close to tell her, please, can you just give me like 5 minutes break? Let me just get myself together. Then I can able to answer your question properly. Because I was really nervous. Like, so how
To
do
be
you
honest,
like?
I've asked an interviewer to give me a moment just to just get out myself a bit. I don't know. It probably depends on the situation. I would say I wouldn't say, oh yeah, just do ask for that, or it. I think it kind of depends. But the I think the key here is trying to stay calm, because it can be very intimidating. Some people can be very intimidating during an interview. Like, trying to stay calm is what I keep saying someone should try and do. And if you can, if the moment is right to ask for a moment, just gather yourself. I mean, I think it's fair enough. It's quite all right. I don't know. I don't know if our mentor, other mentors, or anybody will have any.
If I can come in here, are you hearing me?
Yes, sir. I'm hearing you, sir.
Yeah. In Nigeria, it's a bit, it's quite a different thing, because they want to do an interview for 6, 7 people. When you ask for that kind of time, they want to assume you are off the interview. That's the not too good, because you in an interview, you can ask for a chance for you to find out. If listening to me from your interview to a dialogue, if you see Nigeria where you are not organized somehow, you turn it into a dialogue, like a discussion. When you pick a particular thing, you try to explain to them, so that while you are doing that, probably your psychological
How do you help people like me that is shy, that cannot do eye contact with your
the
like
other
the
way
person
around
asking you a
it?
question?
The other way around it is for you to, when you come into an interview hall, you probably have like a leaflet or your file or something. You can open it and concentrate while you are talking, for you not to have an eye contact. It's what it means is that the eye contact shows your confidence. Okay, should be. I think the screen is back.
Okay, yeah. For that question, Mary, I think eye contact is you need to make eye contact. It's just a way of trying to let them know, like I think it's very necessary you have eye contact. I think it's hard, but you just probably have to learn it. Just try because
lift it
you
up
really need
once in a
to.
while. Lift your
Yeah.
eye up once
Because
in
you
a
need
while.
to
You'll be
speak the
looking
right
at your
body language while making an
Yes.
interview. Because sometimes it's not about what you say as well, is how you present yourself as well. You know, like I said earlier on, like the interviewers want to know if you're the right fit into the culture. They want to look at your personality. There are different things they want to consider and look. For example, if you're going for a job role that requires you to work in a team, and I mean, there are different things they will want to consider. So I think trying to having that right body language is very, very necessary. So I'll just go to some of the interview tips that I came up with. So preparing, I would say the first one is prepare for common interview questions. I mean, if you Google common interview questions, we have questions from what are your strengths, what are your weaknesses, tell me about yourself, why do you want this job, where do you see yourself in next 5 years. I mean, these are questions that need to be answered properly. And for example, I know as humans, no one is perfect. We do have weaknesses and all. Answering a question like, what is your weakness? I mean, the point in answering that question is to identify a weakness that still communicates strength. An example could be my greatest weakness is I find it hard letting go of a project, or I'm a big critic of my own work, and how I've improved myself in this area by giving myself deadlines for revision, and this has helped me not to make changes at last minute. I mean, you just have to communicate a way that they see the weakness, but they've seen the strength and how you've come out of it. Interviewers want to also see how you respond to questions like this. So tell me about yourself, not going too far or too deep, like just be precise and say the right things or what you do. Probably your skills, a bit of your skills as well, and probably where you want to see yourself, what you want to do again, or where you see yourself in probably coming future and all. I'll say research the industry and the company as well. It's very good to do a research about the company itself, what they do, their objectives, how far they've come. Just a brief research, because sometimes interviewer might tell you what the company is all about, but sometimes they want to ask you, they want to see how prepared you are, if you've done some research about them or done some findings. I'd say practice. I put practice, because it's one thing to go prepared, to know what you want to say at an interview. It's one thing to say it out in a very confident and convincing way, so that you don't go there and then you have it in your head, but you don't know how to present it. So by practicing, I would say probably you can get someone probably before you go for an interview, a friend that can act as an interviewer, ask you these questions and see how you respond to answers like that. I mean, when you practice like that, I mean, it really helps and boosts your confidence. So when you go for an interview, I mean, you just smash the questions that you've been asked. Next slide, please. I'd say I put clarify your selling point as well. I mean, when you're going for an interview, you'd probably need to have about some key points, or you need to have reasons why you need to make them know why you're the best candidate for that position. You need to put yourself out there as the best candidate. Have your make sure that the skills and your experiences or what you say align with the job role, understand the job role properly, and what they are looking for, and then try and ensure that what you go out there to say really it's in line with the job role, and be prepared to tell the interviewer what interests you about the job, what reward it offers you, why you find it valuable, what ability it requires that you do possess as a person. So these are things that would make the interviewer feel convinced and feel like, oh yeah, they feel you're the right fit for this job. Just like Mary said that she a bit shy. Speak. You have to go for every interview with the right body language. Make eye contact, give a firm handshake. Have good posture and all. Look smart and professional, because it really goes a long way, because they really want to see your body language as well. Really goes a long way when you're having an interview. Having a right mindset, the positive mindset, is also important. I mean, there is no point going for an interview if you're going to go there with a negative mindset. You need to be very positive about every interview you go for. You need to, go there with the right mentality, and go there with the right mindset that you're really confident this job really you're the best candidate for it. Having the right interview etiquette as well, which is quite similar to having speak the right language, look smart and professional, little or no jewelry, because first impressions are very important. I know it's very important in Nigeria. I mean, just by appearing, by your looks, they can easily tell, oh, is this person who we really want to see? I mean, first impression matters, but it doesn't really mean that that's the best candidate, if you get what I mean. But it does really, it's very important when you go for an interview. And towards the end of an interview, when an interviewer may ask you, do you have any questions for us? It's very advisable to always ask questions about the role or the team. Try and ask the interview questions as well. For example, the interview is asking you, okay, we're done. Do you have any interview? Do you have any questions for us? I mean, going there and saying no, it's not. I do. I think you need to ask questions as well, like, how challenging is this role? Ask questions about the role. Just try and engage in like a discussion as well about it as well is very, very important. I feel with these few points of mine, I've been able to touch a bit of one or two things that are very key or very important when going for an interview. Like I always say, how you answer interview questions will be a very key factor in how the interviewer is going to make their decisions. Thank you very much. Any questions, please?
Okay, thank you very much, Shibi. That was a wonderful session of yours. Okay, there's a question that has been asked. I would quickly read it, or if you can read it from your hand, because I think it's gone up there.
Sorry, which particular one?
So this question says, what is the best way to approach an interview question that you have no idea about? So if you don't know what is asked, what is the best way to go about it and still have a good impression?
To be honest, that's a very tough question. But I think first of all, you need to probably take your time. Take your time because I wouldn't say just rush into it. Take your time to have a think about it. Like you said, I mean, it kind of depends on the scenario. Because, like, I mean, like you said previously that you had an interview when the interviewer was saying, "Oh, you can just say no." Like, I mean, you don't need to know everything. I mean, some interviews you can go and say, "Oh, I don't know," and they will just cut you off. Some interviews will be like, "Okay, if you don't know, that's fine. Let's move on." So I think if you've been asked to answer a question you don't really know, I mean, for my side, I think I can try and redirect it. I think from an IT, I think I can try and redirect it. I don't know what our guest speakers I would have to say about this, please.
No, it's not. always good. Hello? Hello?
We can hear you, sir.
It's not always good. What's the question? Sorry.
Question is that how can you, I'm going to read it out again. Okay. What is the best way to approach interview questions that you have no idea about? So if you don't know what is asked, what is the best way to go about it and still have a good impression?
Okay. The worst way is to say no, I don't know it. It shows the interviewer that you are not even making effort. You don't know, you are not making effort. But it is always good to look for a way around. That's by trying to, there's no how you won't have a knowledge about a particular thing. You can always try to get around it by telling them what you know about something that is similar to that. Because saying no, it looks a bit like there's a question I'm reading now. It looks about arrogant. The question is saying, how can you be confident and not sound arrogant at the same time? If you say, no, I don't know it, it's like a blush. But look for a way around to see. That's why I said the best way to approach an interview is by this dialogue thing, when you are a participatory interview, where you try to get them along with you. When you get them along with you, it's like you try to roam about it. You don't need to, you have to be careful by not mesmerizing too much. You don't need to be dancing too much around it. You just look for a way to sit on the fence. It's like I feel that looks like something like this. If it doesn't look like it, they can now tell you, no, that's not what we mean. They can give you a lead way. So that's the way. But being confident is quite different from being arrogant. Being arrogant, you will notice in yourself. In fact, an arrogant person will know he's arrogant. When they ask you questions and you're like, yeah, you see, what I'm telling you is this. No. How do you, it's like you want to ask a question. Do you have any questions to ask us? Yes. I have a question too. No, that's not about it. It's a calm way of saying, yeah, I would like to ask about this in regards to the team, regards to the interviewer, regards to the company. You want to ask one or two things. But no, yes, I was at an interview that somebody was telling me, yes, we don't you think we need to know about you too? I said, yes, you need to know about us. Then we tell him about us. But the way he asked the question is not too good. Thank you. I don't know if you are satisfied with that.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much. We have other questions here. This question says, hi, sir, is it okay to ask for a reschedule if you realize that you are not fit or prepared few minutes to the day of the interview? An interviewer once asked me if they can reschedule the interview for me. I wasn't prepared, but I said no, I am fine, because I didn't want to lose the interview completely.
That will be looked at from two views. That's from your own view there and from our own view here. I don't think here in Nigeria, a panel will want to admit that they will reschedule the interview for you. I don't think so. Because that interview is scheduled for not only you, quite some other, except like there's something I told you about poaching. You are looking for a particular person. That's the situation where you can ask for a reschedule of the interview because they are looking for you. But where you have like 400 people waiting outside to enter to be interviewed, and you said you want to reschedule your own, I don't think it works in Nigeria. But over there, you know, they are more exposed. They have their way, their things. There's a way they do their ways. They do their things. I think I don't know what happens there, but here, I don't think so.
Shubi, do you have anything to add based on your UK experience on this question?
Yeah, I think if you want to reschedule something, they would try and fit into your calendar. But I mean, if you have some family issues or an emergency or something and you can't even make it, I mean, but the reason why from the question is saying I wasn't prepared. I don't know if you tell someone like, oh, I'm not prepared, I need to reschedule, if they would. I really don't know. I mean, it could depend on different scenarios, but I think from here, if you give the interviewer a ring and say, oh, I'm not able to make it for this particular time for some reasons, I mean, yeah, they are always open to reschedule to when you be available or not.
Thank you very much. Do we have any other questions, please? Okay, while we are waiting for questions, I would like
Sorry, can I ask a
Mr.
question?
Oh, okay.
Hi. I just want to ask a question. Is it really compulsory that you have to ask a question after your interview? Like, what about at that point there's nothing in your brain to ask the person? Is it really compulsory you have to ask a question after your interview? Because I've been in a situation whereby I've answered all the questions and the lady was like, have you got a question for me? And I was just like, no. Would that fail you automatically, or would they just consider you like, okay, fine, that's it, okay, we'll give you the job since you don't have, like, is it really compulsory you have to ask a question after your interview? Because at that point you might not have anything in your mind to say at that point, like your brain is blank, you don't have anything to say. So is it really compulsory you have to ask a question after your interview?
I wouldn't say it's compulsory or mandatory like that to ask, but I mean, it's just a way of building that communication with the interviewer. You might not have anything to say, but you can just ask about the role, like how challenging is this role? How I'm sure the person trying to interview you would also be probably the head or the manager of you'll be reporting to when you probably get the job. So it's just like building this communication, having this, that communication gap, just engage in this talk with the person. Just, you can just ask how challenging is this role, or just something about it, just to get them, a view from them as well. I mean, it goes a long way, but it's not like very, very important or mandatory must, but it's advisable.
Okay. Thank you.
It's not compulsory, but it's good if you can. Like he said, that it builds rapport. It shows you it shows your flair. I mean, it shows your own response to them too, that you are a bit confident. That's all. It's just an add-on. It's not too compulsory.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
All right. I would like to invite Mr. Giwa Ridwan to come and give us his own 2 cents on how to ace an interview. Ridwan, are you there? Mr. Giwa, are you there?
Hello, Jimmy.
Yeah.
Good afternoon, Jimmy, and good afternoon to everyone listening on the call.
Good afternoon.
To be honest, Jimmy, there's really nothing I want to say that everybody has not said. But what I'll just do is try to paint whatever I want to say in forms and better understand. Just experiences. I've been on both sides of the divide, I've been interviewed and I've interviewed. In fact, as as our last one, I was still part of an interview panel. So I'll just share some tips with everybody, and I hope you'll enjoy it. Okay, so basically, when you're when you're being interviewed for a role, so the first thing is, why exactly do you think they want you? That's the first question you want to ask yourself. And why do you think they want you? And then what's the kind of person that they want to employ in the company? So at that point, if I just want you to put yourself in the shoes of the interviewer at that point. That if you were going to recruit and you want to recruit someone, who what's the kind of person you'd like to recruit? What would you like to see the person have or possess? And what would make you want to recruit that person? So if I can get one or two people to give me the idea of who they would like to hire if they were going to for a role. So let's say you're a manager and then one of your team members has just resigned and you want to hire someone into your team. What would you be looking out for? If one or two people can give me what they'll be looking out for, just to make it.
Good communication skill. You need to be able to communicate.
Oh,
And
okay.
yeah.
Oh, okay. Thank you for your feedback. Another one?
Yeah, your willingness to learn on the job.
The willingness to learn. Okay, so there's actually, you guys are right, and they are not obviously exhaustive. There are a number of things that interviewers want to that they look out for when they're recruiting. But I'll just put everything in a bucket. So, and the bucket is value. Is value. So how you communicate, willingness to learn, your creativity, your technical skills, everything that you are going to bring on board, that's what you call value. And that is what the interviewer wants to see. And that's what they want to get from you. So when they perceive that you are coming into the company to add value to the company, and it's easier for them to make a decision to hire you than when you make it difficult for them to decide whether you're bringing a value or not. Because you don't want a wrong hire, right? You want to hire the right person. So you don't want to hire the wrong person, because there's actually a lot of costs you incur in hiring the wrong person. So what happens is you hire the wrong person, 1 month, 2 months, 3 months down the line, you feel that the person is not a good fit. Then what do? You let the person go, then you bring someone else. So it's time wasting, then is, not cost efficient. Or another thing is, let's say you bring in the person and after 2 months, 3 months, the person has still not been able to adapt. You now have to keep retraining. So the learning curve is longer. So interviewers don't want, they don't want to be in that kind of situation. So that's why they scrutinize you very well at the point of interview, so that they are at least sure of who they are bringing in. Although interview does not tell you 100% what the person can bring to the board, but it does tell you certain things that you should be expecting from the candidate. Yeah. So basically, that's what interviewers are looking for. They want someone that can bring value to them. They want someone that can, basically, if you are the manager and you are part of the interview panel, you want someone that can make your life easy for you, someone that you can rely on, someone that can stand in for you when you are not around, someone that can be creative, that can give you solutions, that can give you alternatives. So that's what the interviewers will be looking out for when you go for any interviews. So with this being said, when you're going for any interview, you put yourself in the shoes of the interviewer and say, oh, if I was interviewing, what would I want to see in my candidate? So when you have that, when you ask yourself that question, it helps you prepare, better for that interview. So basically, I'll just share some certain things that you need to know to make your interview, to make it easy for you to get the job, because your objective really is to convince the panel as much as possible to recruit you. And if, for example, they decide to recruit only one person and there's another candidate that has done as well as you are, force them to make that decision to say, you know what, we can't let this guy go, let's bring in 2 people. I don't know if you understand what I'm saying. So, let it be difficult for them to turn you down. So that's what you should achieve to. That's what you should aim to achieve when you go for your interview. But there are certain basics that you need to know before you go for any interview. So the first one is you need to research about the company and the industry. So I know other people have mentioned this, but you cannot play down the importance of knowing the company. You want to know what they do. You want to know their values. You want to know, if possible, find out about the culture of the company and see if the interest of the company aligns with your own interest. So you don't want to make the mistake of going for the interview and not knowing about the company. So it is very important for you to know what they do, and know if there are any current news about the company. You need to know, right? So for example, let's say the company wants to acquire another company, or the company is going to be acquired. You need to be aware. Everybody know with GameStop is in the news for the past few days. That's been in the news. So you cannot go to GameStop today for an interview and not know what exactly is going on around GameStop in the market, because they may ask you about it and you need to know. So that shows your level of awareness and understanding of what is going on with the company and in the industry, right? So the next one would be appearance. Appearance is important. Yeah. Um, you want to go to that company and you want to find out how they dress. Do they dress casually? Is it business casual? Is it corporate? So you need to know how they dress when you're going for that interview. No matter how technical you are, when you go for an interview and you're not dressed properly, nobody will even give you a chance to speak. It is when you speak that people know that you have technical ability. But when they don't give you the chance to speak, nobody knows that you have that technical ability. So when you dress properly, the way you should be dressed for that kind of occasion, then you have given them a chance to hear you speak. But when you don't even dress properly, nobody will give you that chance to speak, and then you lose the opportunity. I've been in that kind of situation, and then I learned a lot from it. I currently work in the banking system in Nigeria, and when I was making the move, I was in an oil and gas servicing company, and I wanted to move to the banking sector. Where I worked, I mean, it's just nobody. We basically didn't have a dress code. Just come to the office, just dress. You can come with your sneakers, jeans. In fact, I had a colleague that used to come with shorts, but that was crazy. That was crazy anyway. So he used to come in, just wear your shorts, your sneakers, and I mean, just feel good. I mean, they don't care about whether you dress corporately or use your tie or not. No, just come to the office. So when I was going for my interview, with the bank, that's the most grueling interview I've ever attended. It was a 6-hour interview, and I didn't do my research properly. Oh no, I actually knew how they dress in the bank, but I didn't take it seriously. So when I went for the interview, every other person was on suit, tie, shoes and everything. But I went there with my shirt, my trousers and shoes, no tie, no suit. So by the time I got there, I was the only different person. So I mean, I knew that this will not go well. It's either they don't allow me to do the interview, or maybe a miracle happens. And if they don't allow me to do the interview, then of course I miss the opportunity. Waste my time, waste my money, and of course I will not be fulfilled because it was something that was avoidable. But anyway, I had to quickly go around. Wanted to buy a tie. I couldn't even get where to buy a tie close by. I had to borrow the gate man's tie. So the guy gave me his tie. He said, "Oh, he has a tie that he wears to church, but he's going to go to church after work." So he said, "But I can quickly use his tie." So I just used the tie. Then I got a friend of mine that I did a session before mine. So when he finished, I just borrowed the suit. I mean, it was just a very funny day for me. And then imagine being unsettled because you are not properly dressed. So instead of me to be calm, to be sitting down patiently trying to get myself ready for the interview, I was not preparing for the interview. I was preparing to dress appropriately. So instead of when other people were preparing for the interview, I was not preparing for the interview mentally. I was rather preparing for how to dress. So that alone had destabilized me. and that could, of course, affect my chances at the interview. But eventually, I was able to do the interview, and of course, I'm at the bank now. But the point is, you just need to understand how you need to dress for the occasion, so that you don't miss the opportunity to sell yourself. Because every time, there's something we call OTS. Yeah, OTS is opportunity to shine. So when you have those opportunities, you need to take advantage of it. So that was the learning from that experience, and I hope you guys can also learn from it. Again, another thing that is important for you is to know the job requirements. So you can't go for an interview and not know what is expected of you. So if I want to go for an interview for a tax accountant, it's just basic knowledge for me to know what exactly am I supposed to know as a tax accountant. See the job description that the company has put out. You must meet at least 70% of those job descriptions, right? They can ask you the first, the second, the third, and you're saying you don't know. Then you are clearly not a fit for that job, right? If they ask you 5 questions and you know four, you don't know one, the other one that you don't know might be something that you can learn on the job. So I mean, they can still overlook you, but you cannot go there and not know majority of the question they're asking you. So you need to, first of all, when you're applying for that job, know the requirements, what are the expectations, and then see if you meet those expectations. You need to know what you're applying for, and then you need to, because again, remember from the beginning we said we are looking for someone that can bring value to the company, someone that can make their job easy and then bring in creativity to the company. So if from the interview you don't even know what is expected of you, how do you convince us that we should hire you? How do you convince us that you have value to bring? Because again, bringing in a wrong hire, it has cost implications. So we don't want to be in that situation where in 3 months we want to recruit for the same role again, or we see that you're not a proper fit for the job. So you just need to understand the job requirements. So I was using the example of the tax accountant. You need to know, tax laws as it relates to personal income tax, company income tax, indirect taxes, and other form of taxes. You just need to know. So if the rule specifically says they want someone that can file returns, you need to understand the process of filing returns. You cannot, if I tell you that I want someone that can file returns, and then you come and say, oh, you don't know how to file returns, it means clearly that job is not for you. So you need to understand what you're going for, and then you need to be prepared for it. Again, you need to, I think the last speaker has mentioned this, but it's important to mention it again. You need to practice common questions. So common questions are actually, you can look at them in different buckets. So first of all, you have technical based questions, you have leadership based questions, and other competency based questions. So you have common questions as it relates to general common questions that anybody would like to ask you. Tell us about yourself. What value can you bring to us? Those are just general questions. But you need to know common questions that related for that. So if I'm preparing for a treasury officer role, officer, financial officer role, these are 3 different roles, and there are technical common questions for each of those roles, right? So you need to prepare for technical questions for that particular role, then prepare for general questions for that role. Then most likely you will see questions on, because now people want very good team players. Yeah, I don't want someone that is too individualistic. Someone that just wants to do everything, wants to take the job. If you're that kind of person, by the time you leave, there might be a gap. So you want someone that can work with other people in the company. And again, when people work together, you most of the time achieve better results than when you do it alone. So you will most likely find questions on teamwork, questions on leadership abilities, right? So when you have questions like this, so the advice that HR professionals usually give is, so there's this methodology that you can use when you have scenario-based questions. So scenario-based questions are questions like, let's say you say, oh, tell us about a time where you have to lead a team. Tell us about a time where you had to achieve an objective within a particular deadline. Tell us what you did when you were in a team and they were counting on you. So these are scenario-based questions, and they are not yes or no. They are not technical. You just have to put yourself in that scenario and then explain to them. So there's this methodology that we use. We call it the STAR methodology. That's STAR. So the S, stands for scenario. The T is the task. A is action. Then R is result. So if you follow this methodology, it helps you to organize your thoughts and it helps you plan whatever you want to say. So it just makes you look organized. So using the same example, so let me use that same example now. And let me use the STAR methodology so that you will understand. So let's say you are being asked, tell us about a time where you had to increase revenue for the company within a month, right? So what they want to see is, what was the scenario? How did you achieve it? So using the STAR methodology, so the scenario is, which the S part, the scenario is, let's say, in December last year, we were about to close the year, and then we were short of our budget. So that's the scenario. So the T, which is the task, is okay. The task was for us to increase revenue of the company within the next 1 month by another 1 million, right? So that's the task. So the next thing is the action. So what action did you take to meet that objective? So the action could be, or maybe you had to go and look for new customers and sell the company's product to them, or you had to sell other value chain opportunities to current customers so they can raise the revenue. Yeah. So that's the action that you took. Then the R, which is the result, is, so what was the outcome of that action? So the result could be you either achieved it, or you overachieved, or you didn't achieve it. But it's not every time you achieve the exact result. It may just be close to what you want, but let us know what results you got from that activity. So when you use the STAR methodology, it just helps you organize your line of thoughts and let it. And of course, it makes sense when you follow that. The methodology. Then again, I see that we were talking about confidence and pride in the just before I started my session. So there's a thin line between confidence and pride. So I'll give you a scenario so you can understand, what I'm saying. So let's say you are being asked, what was your biggest achievement in your previous role, right? So let's assume that my biggest achievement was I was able to reduce tax liability for my company by 1 billion, right? That's the achievement. So when someone is being proud and someone is being confident, so the proud person will probably say, "Oh, before I joined the company, they never got tax. They never got the tax savings of more than 200 million. Yeah, but when I came, I was able to get into 1 billion, and I'm sure that nobody can achieve this. This is not something that is easy to achieve. I had to go there and do it and make sure I achieve it, and nobody else can do it, right?" When you say that, of course, it's coming from a position of pride. Yeah. When you say no other person can do it, and you're the only person that can do it, even if that is the situation, you're not going to say it that way, right? Because that tells us that you are proud, and then when people perceive that you're a proud person, it puts them off, right? It puts them off. I don't want. So what that tells me is that if I'm to the team and you work with it, if I bring you into if I hire you, you're most likely to what you could go around and say, "Oh man, yes, this thing, no other than anything," and of your team for your team to. So that is pride. But you be and then about it, and it will not be perceived as being proud. So well, when I joined a company, I found out that the wrong assessment. I had to, maybe check your tax laws again, speak with the tax authority to see the and the tax liability, and then we were able to reduce the tax liability by 1 billion with, of course, support from maybe some of your team member or your manager or someone else, and you were able to achieve it together. So you've been able to communicate the same thing. You've even not taken all the credits. You probably share the credit with some of your team members, because usually you can't even do that kind of thing alone. You probably would work with someone to achieve those kind of results. So you can be respectful, you can be confident, and still pass the same message rather than being seen as a proud person. Again, your ability to communicate. Communication is important. Um, when people see you, I'm sure everybody does this, all of us, everybody on this call, everybody will do it. We have biases. So when you see people, before they speak, you start to make judgments about them, right? When you just look at people, you just try to make some judgment about them. If you see someone today, you always say something about them, whether from their dressing or from their look or their body language, you probably will say something. So communication is not just when you speak, right? You start to communicate to people before you even speak. And that's the reality. So you start to give yourself away by your body language. So for the lady that I was talking about not making eye contact, you are communicating already. And what you are communicating to us is you're not a confident person, right? You're not a confident person. So that's what you're telling me. So eye contact is important. Other forms of communication, whether it's verbal and non-verbal, the body language, all these forms of communication, you have to be aware of them. And you have to be cautious, because for everything you do, you are communicating, right? You are communicating to your interviewer. So just be aware of how you. So I'll tell you about myself. I'm sure Yusuf is aware of this too. So naturally, when I walk with my shoulder up, right? Naturally. So sometimes it appears, that I'm raising my shoulder up, and of course that could be perceived as being proud. But that's how I walk naturally. That's how my dad walks. That's how my younger brother walks. I mean, it just runs in the family, yeah. But someone that doesn't know me will think, oh, this guy raises his shoulder up. He feels too much. Maybe he thinks too highly of himself. So you just have to be aware of this kind of thing. So because I know that I have that tendency of raising my shoulder, if I'm going for an interview, I'm going to make conscious effort not to raise my shoulder. Yes, conscious effort. So let me. When I wanted to get married, yeah, when I wanted to visit my wife's parents, she told me specifically, like, she said, see, I know this is how you walk, but please, when you get to where my parents are, be careful of how you walk so they don't think you're a proud person, right? And of course, I had to listen to that advice, because when you walk that way, without saying a word, without people knowing you, they make opinion about you. And of course, I could be perceived as someone that is proud and say, no, they can't marry this person, you can't bring a prophet, this person is too proud, they can't bring this person to the family. So the point here is that you give yourself out with the way you communicate before you even say a word, right? So just be aware of what the verbal and non-verbal clues that you give out when you go for interviews. Then I see that we're talking about questions. Yes, questions is not mandatory, but it is necessary. You need to ask questions because you're moving into an uncertain place. No matter how well you did in the interview, you're moving into an uncertain place. You don't even know what is going on there. The interview might look good, but when you go in there, it's a different ballgame entirely, right? So you need to ask questions. You need to ask questions, even if you don't know what to ask. Basic things like, oh, what's the culture like, right? Could you tell me more about the job? How do you measure success? What are the opportunities for growth? You need to ask those kind of questions, right? So what those things communicate is, first of all, you are confident. Second thing is that you know what you want. You want to be sure that your values align with the values of the company, right? You don't want a value mismatch. You don't want a culture mismatch. There are places that cannot work in Nigeria because I know the values, I know my values, and I know it will not work. So there are places that will not work in Nigeria. So there are questions you need to ask. You need to know where you are going into. You want to, we are taking a risk moving in there if you don't know what the culture is like, right? Do they have a family-like culture or they have a resort-like culture? Is it a place where when you are not around, everybody is asking after you, or when you are not around, they are saying, "Who cares? I mean, we have paid you to do this job. Is it that you come here or you get fired?" And there are places like that where they don't. What they just care about is come, give us results, move on. Nobody cares about your well-being. You can't even say you want to go to the hospital. So you need to ask questions about your role. When you ask questions about, say, opportunity for growth, it just shows that you have that you are someone that is committed to achieving things, and then you are concerned about your career growth. So you need to ask questions. Yes, it's not important. I mean, it's not mandatory, but it is necessary for you to ask. And you don't necessarily need to ask technical questions. You just, I mean, it can't be too difficult to say, oh, what are the growth opportunities you have? What's the opportunity for career advancement? You what's the culture like? Tell me more about. It cannot be too difficult to ask those questions. Like I said before, if you're saying no, or you're not making eye contact, or you're shaking, then you are communicating to them. They won't tell you, but you are communicating to them. And of course, the person you are speaking to can see all these things, so they know when you are nervous and when you're confident. They know. So just please and please, if you want to go for an interview, make sure you have questions to ask before you get there. It's like saying, if I have a meeting with my CEO tomorrow, I must ask him a question. I must ask him a question because it's an opportunity for me to shine. If you ask him a question, he will remember you. Next time he says, he will remember you. Oh, this guy is asking a question to ask. So these are opportunities that you get that you may not always get. So when you get to those kind of situations, you must ask your questions, right? Um, so, I mean, I think I've said quite a number of things. It's not exhaustive. Probably I can dwell more on certain things if there are questions. So basically, I think with these few tips, you should be able to go in for an interview. What I'm concerned about is I cannot give you everything that will be asked, right? I can't tell you everything. Nobody will tell you everything. But I just need to lay down the principle. So the principle is you want to go in there and give them value. You want to make the life of whoever you want to work with easy. So when those are your guiding principles, then the question you now start to ask yourself is, okay, if I'm going to give this guy value, what do I need to do? How do I approach these people? In fact, you can even start to, you know, bring these solutions in the interview. If it's a role that you're very concerned about, if it's a solution that you feel might make that particular role easier to execute, you can go there and tell them. And when they know that, oh, you're bringing solutions, it just gives you an added advantage when they're making final selections, right? So, but if you understand the guiding principle, I'm fine. Every other thing can now come after. So that's what I would say for now. Other speakers have spoken already. I think we've covered quite a lot. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Ridwan. That was very insightful. Can I just quickly ask, in a scenario where someone has gone for several interviews, say within a pace of 3 months, the person has had like 12 interviews, and these interviews have been unsuccessful, what would be your advice to that person?
Okay, thank you. Very interesting. If you're applying for a role, say 12 times, yeah, and you got rejected 12 times. So first of all, you just have to keep trying. Doesn't mean you should stop. However, there's this saying that you cannot keep doing the same thing and expect the same result. No. So you need to sit down and say, I've gone for these 12 interviews. These are the questions they've asked me. And this is the way I've answered them. Did I answer them well? Is it that I'm not speaking well? So like I said, is it that they don't perceive me as a confident person? Or is it that I'm not communicating well, or am I not good? So you need to go back and then, just talk to yourself and say, if I have done all these things and I'm still not getting it right, I want to believe that first of all, you have that technical competence for that job. Because clearly, no matter what you do, if you are not technical for the job, you probably will not get the job. So if you are sure that you have the right knowledge for that job, then you now need to look at other things. Am I dressing well? Am I speaking well? Am I communicating well? Am I being perceived as an arrogant person? So you need to consider all these things and then make changes again for the next one. But if you are still not convinced, sometimes you need to make certain investments. A lot of times when we want to go for an interview, when we want to do something, we just feel we can do everything alone. If you've tried alone and it doesn't work, then you probably need to, if possible, you might need to get a coach, right? Someone that can probably guide you properly for the next role. Because if you keep doing the same thing that you were doing, you probably will get rejected the next time. So just look inward, see what you've done wrong, try to correct them before moving on. And if you're not sure of what you've done wrong, sometimes you do everything right and then you still don't get picked, right? So it happens sometimes. And you'll be surprised that what makes the difference between candidate A and candidate B, or the first and the second candidate, is just, it might be that both of them, get the same score technically. It might just be basic things like, oh, this person communicated better than this other person, and then you lose the job. It might just be that, oh, this person dressed smartly and this person did not, and then you lose the job. So that's why, in addition to your technical knowledge, every other aspect, you need to balance them as well, so that there is nowhere you will lose points. So on all grounds, you'll be seen as a rounded person. So that's what I'll say about it. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Sarah has a question. Please, how does one address the question of salary expectations?
Well, another interesting one. So this is it. To be honest, I will ask, my opinion is this. I don't feel I should be asked that question, right? You want to hire me for a particular role, you know what you want to pay for the role. So you should be telling me what you want to pay for that role. That is what I think. Then if I want to take the job, I take it. If I don't want to take it, then I move on. But I think it should be the other way around. But anyway, where we are, this is the reality. They ask you, what do you want us to pay? Then the question is a tricky one, because you don't want to overprice yourself out of the job. And at the same time, you don't want to underprice yourself as well. Because if you underprice yourself and then you get the job and then you find out that people on the same level with you are earning far more than you, of course, you will not be motivated to work again. And then you might find yourself out of the company. So what I would just say is, if you're in that situation, right? So you could tell them that, see, if they ask you, oh, how much do you want us to pay? They say, okay, thank you very much for that question. Okay, before I say this, first thing first, you can make your own research, try to find out how much they pay. For example, in the banking sector, how much they pay is quite regulated. Everybody knows what each bank pays. So if I'm going to another bank, I know what they pay already. So it's easier for me to negotiate, right? So if you can get those information, good. So it helps you with negotiation. But if you don't know at all, then just go there and let them know that, see, okay, the thing is, I don't know how much you pay for this kind of role. But do you? Hello?
We can hear you, Ridwan.
Okay. Yeah. So I was saying, so if you have no idea what they pay, then you throw the question back to them and say, see, I'd rather you tell me how much for this kind of role. I know you pay a particular amount for this kind of role. So if you could tell me what you paid for this kind of role for previous people that have held that roles, then that might guide you. Then you can start a conversation from there. So it's possible to tell you, well, for this role we paid, they may give you an estimate that will pay within 1 million to 2 million. Then if it's something that you like, then you could say, okay, if it's something you're comfortable with, then you can negotiate around the band. If not, then you can tell them, well, again, it's possible that they plan to pay a particular amount for a role, but there's a way you negotiate, and they may even pay you more depending on the value that you're able to bring. But it's a dicey question. There is no right or wrong way to answer it. But I think what you should do is try to make your research before going there, and then if you don't know, you need to ask them what are they paid in the past for this kind of role. So hopefully that helps. But I know a lot of multinationals will probably not ask you that question.
Mr. Awosanya, do you want to add to that?
I think I want to add, like people have been trying to tell you, that's the essence of research. When you are going for an interview, you are expected to have done a bit of research in respect of what you have been asked to come and showcase yourself. If you have not done that, then that's one of the disadvantages to that interview. An interviewer will look for all means to make sure some people are really not shortlisted. We are aware that 3 or 4 people might get on the above the line. And you should look for a way to say, at least this is better than the other. And one of those ways is the insistence on telling us what you want to take. It's not a normal thing. Like he said, you are not supposed to ask, there's supposed to be a norm for that particular point. But it's advisable for you to have done your research so that you would have known the level that what you are being asked for normally takes. Again, that is what you are supposed to say. Somehow it could be, but they need you to say something. There's supposed to be a role payment. If the interview is asking you for a manager, for an assistant manager, or for whichever level, there should be a standard in the company. If it's a normal, a standard company, like there's a way banks do their payment. So in as much as you tell them that if I'm being employed as a manager, I wouldn't mind what other managers are being paid. If I'm paid, that's according to what others are being paid. So, but it is something that you have to be clever about. It depends on what the interviewer wants to achieve by asking you that question. So whichever way, the most important thing is to do your research about that particular company, how much they pay. But where you cannot get that, try and avoid being insistent on a particular salary because it gets you out. Thank you.
Okay, Baratunde, do you want to add to the question, or you have a different question? Dr. Tunde.
Hello.
Yeah.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Hi, good morning, everyone. Thanks to all the speakers. It's been an amazing session. Many thanks to Mr. Awosanya. By the way, I did my NYSC at this company. He's a very amazing boss, uncle, and family friend. And I would say he's one of the key people that actually pushed me out of Nigeria. So I remember then he sent me, no, I think he rang me and it was like, oh, ni one school abroad, and I remember I just picked up my phone and went online, searched for the university abroad, and then the rest is history today. Thanks for an insightful session. Just to reiterate on a few things. So you're going for an interview, preparation is key. I mean, you've got to be prepared. There is no point going for an interview if you're not prepared. Do a thorough research on the company. I mean, they've got a website. Everything is on LinkedIn nowadays. You've got some current employees. You could connect to them, ask them questions about the company even before you go for the interview. Ridwan has talked about the STAR method. I've got that here. The situation, task, action, and result. You need to highlight your role So for every question, right, you need to highlight your role, what you did, in that project. Because I I went for an interview, and getting the feedback, they told me, yeah, you gave us a nice story, it was amazing, but you didn't specifically tell us what you did. Like, what was your role? What did you do? Fine, you presented the situation, you told us about the task, the action, and the result, but what did you do? So that needs to be highlighted. And we need to understand again that everything is going virtual, right? So most interviews are conducted online uh, nowadays. So you've got to be ready for it. Okay, you need to test your appliances. You don't want to uh, start the interview and say, "Oh, I'm sorry, I couldn't connect." No, you've got to be able to test that before the interview. Get a few people to uh, listen to you, test your microphone is working, your camera is working very well. I mean, you need to test all these out, right? You need to look directly into your camera. Well, I don't know what happens in Nigeria, but if you are sitting face to face with a panel, I don't tend to. I tend to alternate direct eye contact, right? So mostly I look at the tip of the nose, right? That's close to the eye, isn't it? So so I tend to switch between that, but mostly I'm focused on the nose, right? That works for me. I don't know if that's a very good thing for everyone. You've got to be enthusiastic, and as Ridwan has rightly said, there's a thin line between being enthusiastic and being cocky, right? So you've got to take note of that. Answer questions to the best of your ability. If you don't know a question, I mean, I know it's it's not very good for you to say, well, I don't know, I don't have a clue. But I mean, if you don't know, you don't know. There is no two way about it. You can't know everything, you know. So, but while saying you don't know anything about the question, you should be able to um, let them know that, fine, I don't know this, but I'm willing to learn. You know what I mean? So, and I think it's a very good thing again to ask them for a short break, especially if you're going for an interview. I remember when I was gonna go for my Viva for my PhD. I got to the interview hall, and I was so nervous. I couldn't sleep all night. It wasn't that I was reading or studying or doing anything. I just was nervous because, I mean, that moment is going to determine if you're getting your PhD or not, right? So I got to the interview um, room well ahead of my three examiners, and I was just sat there. I was sipping my coffee and all that, and they came in. So I did a bit of introduction and all that, and I told them. So they asked me a few questions. I said, "Excuse me, I need to let you know this. I am so nervous." That was the first thing I told him. And he was like, no, you don't need to do that. You don't need to be nervous, right? All you need to do is just chill out. Right, let's start by saying, well, I'm going to start. So the guy was like, so this is what I did, this is what I did, this is what I did. Now, tell us about yourself. Okay, so that calmed me down a bit, right? I was like, okay, I'm ready to go now. And, it went really well. I quite enjoyed it. And you need to ask questions at the end of the interview. You can't say you don't have any questions to ask. No, you need to ask questions because you can't know everything, right? So go with prepared questions. It shows you're enthusiastic about the job. You want to work for the company, right? Ask questions. A very good question could be, can you tell me about the work-life balance of this company? That's a very good one. Another could be, how long have you been working for this company? Well, what are your experiences so far, right? It could be the next, this role I'm coming into, what will be expected of me in the next 6 months, right? So, there's so many questions you could ask them. So your body language matters a lot. If you're going for a virtual interview, dress rightly. So you wouldn't say, I'm just going to be on the computer, right? You need to dress appropriately. So you need your suits, you need your tie, you need everything. I mean, no one cares if you're wearing a boxer short. I've done it a few times, wearing my suit, tie, and everything. And I wore boxer shorts, because I was sitting down anyway and you wouldn't be seeing me. So, I mean, you should take note of that. And for the salary expectation, I think the best thing to do is to check the website. I mean, there are so many things you can find online. Check them online. You know what role you're going for, and always try as much as possible to give them a range. So don't say, for instance, I'm looking at maybe £50,000 or $100,000. Okay, give them a range. So you could say maybe between 50 to 65. But you're looking at a high, of your range. Excuse me. So when you tell them that, they could say, why should we pay you this amount? Now, a very good strategy is to let them know that, I mean, you can't be looking at how much you want to pay me, right? You need to let them know what value they're going to be getting from what they're paying you. So in the real sense of it, you telling them that, okay, this is what I'm bringing. So if you have so much value to bring, you can sell yourself to them. You know, it's a very good deal, so to say, for you, because at the end of the day, they're not going to be looking at how much they're paying you. They're going to be looking at what value you bring in. So your value that you bring into the company is going to outweigh whatever amount they're going to pay. So finally, at the end of the interview, I think maybe after a few hours, you could send the interviewers an email. You know, uh, just a thank you email. Thanks for having me. What a nice session. I look forward to hearing from you. Like, you reiterating your stand that I'm so looking forward to working with you guys, and just something like that, something very simple, just a thank you email. So yeah, I believe that's it from me. If anyone has anything.
Thank you very much, Dr. Tunde. We are way ahead of time. I would like us to round up now. But before we round up, there's a question for Giwa here. It says that, am I supposed to just sit down at an interview or wait to be asked to sit down?
Oh, well, I would say, even not for an interview, if I go anywhere, if I go to anyone's office, oh, good morning, I wouldn't sit down normally until the person tells me to sit down. So I believe you're walking into the room, you just stay close to the desk or whatever, and I believe the person is going to tell you to sit down. So I wouldn't sit down until they ask me to sit down.
All right, thank you, sir. Giwa, do you want to share your thoughts?
Yes, so spot on, right? You don't walk into someone's office and just sit, right? I mean, like I said, you are communicating. Whatever you do, you are communicating, right? What you are telling them is, I mean, you might be seen as someone that feels entitled, right? So you just don't want to give bad vibe. Even in my office, I mean, I can't work in my manager's office and then sit. No, I have to ask to be sit. I have to ask to sit, right? So if you are going for an interview, you don't want to sit unless you are told to sit. So just hold on. Um, Go in, great, good morning. When they tell you to sit, then you sit. But when you sit before they tell you to do it, um, you're just seen as you are jumping, right? So just be calm. You don't need to be in a rush. Nobody will tell you to. Nobody will interview you while standing. So they will still eventually tell you to sit. So there's no need to rush. So just wait. Let them tell you to sit. So that's the best I will do.
Thank you very much. I want to thank everyone that has contributed one way or the other to today's session. Thank you so much. Actually, we planned not to pass 1 hour 30 minutes, but we are way ahead of time again. I'm very, very sorry. And we are working on it. We are working on it. And it's going to get better. Thank you very much for everyone who joined into this session. Thank you very much. And I would like to round up today's meeting. Have a wonderful weekend. Thank you very much, guys.
Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you. Thank you very much.